welcome to Sinister Studies. Join me each episode as I delve into some truly sinister topics and traumatize my family. I'll be joined by one or more teenager, and from time to time, we'll have special guests. Be forewarned, our stories are seriously sinister, so listener discretion is always advised. Welcome back to Sinister Studies. Are you just going to ignore?
Hi, I'm having a day.
So, because winter is finally starting to come to a
Thank God.
conclusion, we are going to do a winter.
Can come to a conclusion?
Hopefully, I hope so.
Listen, all the rain has been just like setting me back. It's not cute.
No, the seasonal depression plus the rain.
Not a
okay.
fan. Not a fan.
But the sun came out today.
Yeah, it's actually nice. It's still bright out, and it's like 5:30ish.
I was going to start singing, but I decided you'd get mad.
Singing what? What would you
The
be singing?
sun will come out tomorrow. No, you don't know where that's from?
I maybe. What is it from?
Annie.
Oh yeah, I knew that.
So we are going to end the winter with a story that begins in the dead of winter.
All right.
So it was a cold and snowy night on February 1st, 2012. An 18-year-old Samantha Koenig was working the closing shift as a barista at a Little Teal coffee shack, which was on a well-traveled road, and there were other businesses nearby. Apparently, these coffee shacks are a thing in Alaska. Instead of, you know, a dunk on every corner.
Yeah, they just have shacks.
Little coffee shacks. Although Anchorage is the largest city in Alaska at a little over 288,000 people, it still has kind of small town vibes.
Well, yeah, because it's fucking Alaska. Who lives in Alaska?
Or to put it in extremely bluntly, everyone knew everyone, or at least someone that knew them. Everybody's up in each other's business, kind of like our town.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. Listen, there's cops. We were looking out the window. That one is listening to the police scanner.
They know. Everybody knows. I didn't edit that out.
Yeah. It's just the nature of not having much else going on. It was like, you know, and there's not really, you know, in a city, it's like, not only is it bigger, but there's more people. It's like, you can't be nosy with everything. But here, something happens, you know about it. Somebody's posting on the Facebook page being like, this thing just fucking happened.
Yeah. So Samantha was 5'5", with shoulder-length dark hair. She lived with her father, James, and her boyfriend, Darren, who had driven her to work that day with the plan to pick her up after closing. At one point, Samantha texted her father, asking him to bring her some dinner. He didn't. I don't know what the reasoning was why he didn't.
If I texted you being like, bring me dinner, would you?
If you were nice, yes. If you were an ass about it, I might think about it. Or wait a little longer.
You'd be like, you can be hungry for an extra 15 minutes. You'll survive.
I'm sure his decision haunts him to this day.
Yeah.
When Darren arrived at closing, it appeared that the shack had already been closed for the night. The lights were off, and Samantha was nowhere to be found. They had had an argument earlier in the day, so he had assumed she got a ride from a friend. So, with no trace of Samantha, he went home. The following morning, her coworker arrived to open the coffee shack. The place was not cleaned properly. The money from the night before was missing. It wasn't locked up.
It wasn't closed. Sorry.
She alerted her manager, and then the police were contacted due to the missing money.
Only because of the missing money?
Yes.
Did they not notice that she's missing at this point? Because, I mean, why would she be there if she just worked closing? I mean, they probably assumed she just did a bad job. And then somebody,
her father
broke
and boyfriend didn't report her missing yet.
So they probably assumed she just kind of left it open, and then somebody came in and took the money. afterwards because she didn't close, right?
You'll see that this case has small town police vibes.
Ew. I'm not like...
The opening barista cleaned up the coffee shop and began serving customers for the day. So the police obviously tried to contact Samantha because there was missing money. They were not able to, and they were notified that she had not come home that night.
Mm-hmm.
So when they called into the precinct, the case was given to a new detective to the area, Monique Dahl. She had previously worked in narcotics. The department initially classified her as a runaway. She had gotten into a fight with her boyfriend, and the money was missing with no signs of a struggle.
So she took the money.
Yes. So they never cordoned off the area to look for evidence.
Not even worth... I mean, because if she stole the money, wouldn't they want to at least take a peek around? No? I mean, that is still a crime.
I guess they just thought it was open and shut.
Okay, well, clearly not.
In true small town fashion, there was an FBI field officer, Steve Payne, who happened to be a regular at that coffee shop.
Mm-hmm.
So when he learned of the missing teenager, he called Anchorage PD and offered his services. But he was told that his services were not required. They knew what was going on, and the FBI was not needed.
Okay, well, clearly it was.
I feel like it's one of those situations, like, we know who works at places we frequent.
Yeah.
And you kind of get a feel for them. So I think he kind of just was like, no, something's wrong.
Yeah.
Because he probably had, if he's an FBI guy, he probably had conversations and just picked up information. They are trained quite well, FBI and all.
Yeah. And even if he's not doing it on purpose, there is like that
second nature.
Yeah.
Steve Payne would not be dissuaded from this case. He kept calling the precinct until Dahl called him back. And she did finally ask that he come down to the office. We have a kitten scaling the curtains.
Our cat is so cute, guys.
Shockingly,
you don't even know.
Dahl and her team had discovered that the missing Samantha may not have been the runaway that they thought she was.
Really? What a shocker.
The owner of the coffee shack eventually pulled the security footage from that night.
It took them that long? If she stole the money, would they want to look at the footage? They never looked at the footage this whole fucking time?
Not right away.
Oh my fucking... Really? Oh my god. See, if I walked in, that's like the first thing I do. If I walked into that shit, first thing you do, you're checking the footage. So what the fuck happened?
Can she not get in? Is that other door closed? Nope, there she is.
Oh.
Idiot.
What's she yapping about then? Damn.
The cameras covered the inside of the tiny building. There was no outside cameras.
Oh my god.
And up until shortly before closing, everything looked and seemed normal. Until Samantha suddenly turns the light off and puts her hands up. They can see what appears to be a shadowy figure at the window, holding what appeared to be a gun. She then gets on her knees, and after a little bit, she gets up, collects the money from the drawer, and returns to the window and turns with her back to the man with the gun. He can be seen leaning in through the coffee window and zip tying her hands.
Oh.
He then fucking dives into the open window. Head first. Dives. So you're going to think, if like a I'm assuming the takeout window is a similar height, if not a few inches higher than your average Dunkin' drive-thru.
Yeah,
situation.
probably not very large. I mean, large enough to accommodate like a person of average size, but not large.
They can see on the tape that he's quite tall. He is obviously athletic build, and he was quite in shape because he was able to dive into that damn thing. He then puts his arm around Samantha and guides her out the door. This encounter between the two of them was 17 minutes long. No customers came in that time. Samantha's father, James, was notified, and he stood outside the coffee shack all day that next day, hoping that Samantha would show up and that this was all some sort of misunderstanding. In the days that followed, Anchorage police was not going to release the information on the missing Samantha, but was forced to do so because her father would not stop.
Wait, they didn't even tell him?
So they told the father, but they were not going to release that there was a missing teenager.
Oh. So people would have found out anyway.
Because he was telling everybody.
Yeah.
He made signs, he made flyers, social media posts, started talking to the press.
I mean, if I was fucking missing, would you do all that shit?
Absolutely.
If
Absolutely.
I was missing, have you seen that video of like these two girls, like their friend went missing, and there's like two girls like on like the news, and they're just like, if you're seeing this, I just want you to know that we miss you and we love you, and like Stephanie from Science is pregnant or some shit like that. Have you seen that?
No, I haven't.
I'm gonna see if I can find that video now.
Let's see. So with the fact that James would not let up, Anchorage police decided to start investigating. Obviously, they looked at her home life first, specifically her boyfriend. When he was interviewed, Dwayne did admit that they were having a rough patch. He told them that when he arrived to pick Samantha up, all the lights were already off. But he did look into the shack when Samantha didn't come out, but he didn't try to go in, which they thought was shady. His reasonable explanation was that he didn't want to set off any alarms if there were any.
Yeah.
So he went home and he waited. Then, around 3 a.m., he heard strange noises coming from outside. When he opened up the door to investigate, he saw a tall man with a mask going through the truck he shared with Samantha. The two stood and looked at each other for a while, and the tall man calmly shut the door to the truck and walked away.
And did he contact the authorities?
Dwayne had gone back into the house because who knows what kind of person you're dealing with.
Yeah.
He was very calm in that encounter.
Because, like, if it's a dangerous person, you don't want to provoke them.
And I feel if it was like a rando rifling through your car looking for loose change and whatever else you may keep in there, once you catch them, they're off.
Yeah, and like, you know, if it's probably not worth it to stop them if they're just like some random ass person breaking into your car looking for fucking like money or whatever. I mean, if somebody broke into your car, that would be a problem because you sometimes have work stuff in it, right?
Yes.
But like in other cases, I see why it's not the biggest deal.
So later, when Dwayne went out to search the truck, he found that Samantha's ID, which she kept in the truck, was missing. Investigators arrived at Samantha's home and were looking to talk to both her boyfriend and her father. They were immediately suspicious because James would not allow them into his home. He spoke with them outside. When asked why they didn't call the police when Samantha didn't come home, both Dwayne and James told the police that they thought that they wouldn't do anything because she had not yet been missing for 24 hours. The 24-hour thing is a myth. You can report somebody missing at any time. It's just a matter of
what, like the context surrounding it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't know. If I went to school and it was hours later and I didn't come home, even though I hadn't actually been, like, missing for that long, you'd be like, oh, that's weird.
That's also different because you're a minor. Samantha was 18, so technically Samantha was an adult when this happened. I mean, as an adult, as an 18-year-old can be, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean, there's still somebody missing.
When the police asked to interview Dwayne, James opened his door crack, went in, got Dwayne. Dwayne opened the door crack, slid out. They interviewed him. He slid back in. I can understand kind of why they would be really suspicious of the two of them. However, I've had police come to the door. I did not let them in. So probably we would have had a whole different... we would have had a dog arrest on our hands if that had happened.
Wait, I think I found the video.
Thank you for having us.
Welcome to you both. Now,
Is it the sweater?
Oh, wait, hold on.
it's a very difficult time, but if you could say something to Janelle right now, what would
How we miss you, and we're looking for you. And Steffi P from biology is pregnant.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, she says that she's not, but she's like totally wearing sweaters. And
There's
things.
no way that's real. There's no way. There's no way. That's too ridiculous.
Steffi P from biology is pregnant. Yeah. Braylon, if you're hearing this, I know you probably are a bitch if you're not hearing this. If I go missing and you do not, like, update me on the tea, like, on the news, however way you can, listen, if some shit's happening, I want to know. If another bathroom situation happens, you gotta keep me posted. I don't care how you do it. You gotta go on national television to get that message to me. You go on national television. You're just
There can't be another bathroom incident like that one. There can't be.
I mean, yeah. Although with the freshmen, I don't know. Some of these freshmen are like
Okay.
trying to.
All right, we're not going to talk about that. Gross. Anyway, February 11th, 10 days after Samantha went missing, James amped things up. He started a tip line and asked everyone for help with funding a reward. He managed to collect $60,000, which he did put up as a reward for information as to Samantha's whereabouts. He had put up posters and started a Facebook page dedicated to finding Samantha. The town had a candlelight vigil.
Do they have that usually for missing people?
Yeah.
Do they have?
They can, yeah.
I don't know. I thought that was only for like dead people.
No, not just for dead people. Could be for missing people too.
Also, do people usually do candlelight vigils when a person like dies a normal way? I feel like that's only for like when they die, like in an accident or something, or they're killed. Not just like having a medical thing.
Yeah, it's not like killed in a not run of the mill way. Car accident, murders, things like that.
Well, yeah. I mean, what other ways are there to get killed?
Anchorage police looked to see if they could find any travel records for Samantha. They tried to track her cell, which was either completely dead or off because there was nothing for them to use. They followed up on tips that it may have been drug-related, that maybe the Russian mafia was involved.
Why would the Russian mafia be involved?
Allegedly, James was a bit sketch, had some connections. Maybe the Russian mafia stole his daughter.
I didn't know there was a Russian mafia.
Oh,
I mean,
yes,
organized crime.
Is.
I assumed, but like a mafia, like is it actually? Is there like a different? Is it called the mafia?
I don't know
if
that's what. No, they probably don't call it the mafia in Russia, but it's definitely Russian organized crime.
Well, yeah.
But here in the United States, we do say the mafia.
What is the Russian mafia called? I want to see if there's a name for that. Russian mafia. Okay, well, no, they're literally just called the mafia, really. I mean, there's some other words.
In
but
Russian?
I think a lot of people just refer to them as the Russian mafia. Damn. I mean,
Yeah. So none of Anchorage Police's tips panned out, so they officially requested the help of the FBI.
took them long enough.
They had nothing to go on except for an attempted use of Samantha's debit card at an ATM, which was a failed attempt because she had under $1 in her account.
Under $1?
Under $1.
Damn. Coffee Shack clearly wasn't paying very well.
On February 26th, Dwayne got a text from Samantha's phone. I'm gonna fucking kill that dog.
Girl!
Why do you think I put her zappy collar back on so she could get electrocuted today? She was getting a little loosey-goosey with the fence boundaries.
Peppa, shut the fuck up. Pretty please.
So on February 26th, Dwayne got a text from Samantha's phone that gave him the name of a nearby park. Dwayne and James did immediately notify the officials, but both sides were going to that park, no matter what. They did beat the police to the scene, where they found a Ziploc bag which contained a Polaroid picture of Samantha,
Alive?
whose head is being held by an unseen man.
So,
Next to the newspaper dated February 13th as proof of life.
okay, so alive.
And
I thought head for a second when you said head. I
no,
thought
like just holding
like a severed
no,
head,
not
like her.
Jesus.
They like beheaded her.
That went dark real quick.
Listen,
I mean, this doesn't get much.
Listen, people have been beheaded before.
This doesn't get much better than that. Like it really does. It doesn't get done. Proof of life Polaroid.
Okay.
With a ransom note that demanded $30,000 be deposited into Samantha's account. And if paid, Samantha would be returned in 6 months. Agent Payne officially took over at this point, calling in Jeff Bell, who was a former U.S. Marshal, SWAT team, and FBI. They sent the evidence that they had to Quantico for analysis. They were trying to determine whether Samantha was alive in the picture.
So they didn't know?
They didn't know.
Was she like unconscious in the picture?
Well, I mean, it's hard to tell if a person is alive or dead by just looking at a picture.
I suppose.
Investigators worked on James for days in an attempt to get him to deposit the money into Samantha's account. Their suspicions of James only increased at this time when James was forced to admit that he'd used some of the reward money on himself. Because at this point he wasn't doing anything other than trying to find his daughter. That I couldn't find anything that said he was buying random high-ticket items. It was just he had used some of the money.
He had too much money, considering his daughter had less than $1 in her bank account. So maybe he needed it.
I don't know like the financial status of the family as a whole, but
oh my god, this bitch is never gonna shut up.
James did continue to deny involvement and stressed that his only goal was to find his daughter. That dog's going batshit crazy.
Yeah, she's been going kind of insane for the past hour. I don't know what's up with her.
On February 29th, James relented and deposited $5,000 into Samantha's account in an attempt to draw out the kidnapper.
Oh, because if you put money in the account and if they try to spend... But, I mean, after they tried to do it the first time, when they kind of stopped trying...
So you can do a balance inquiry, and it doesn't count as, like, a transaction because you're just looking to see how much money you have in the account.
Yeah.
It would be technically an ATM transaction if
so
money was deposited. I mean, now I'm sure it would show up, but I don't think back then it would.
So how is that gonna?
They were under the assumption that the kidnapper was going to periodically check to see if there was money in the account, because he asked them to deposit money into her account.
Okay.
And they weren't wrong. Pretty quickly, money was withdrawn from an Anchorage ATM. Someone had tried to withdraw $600, not knowing that the daily max withdrawal was $500. But the kidnapper quickly learned his lesson, and his next withdrawals were in increments of $500. One being just before midnight, and another one being just after midnight. Investigators sent the ATM footage to Quantico for analysis, where it was determined that it was a tall man with athletic build. He was wearing a dark jacket with a paint splatter, and he was wearing a mask, gloves, white sneakers, and glasses. At this point, the FBI realized that Anchorage police had never requested the surveillance footage of the nearby Home Depot. And when they did, they saw a white Chevy truck pull in with no plates. The driver sat in the truck for a while, then got out, and later appeared with Samantha. She tried to make a break for it, and he tackled her. There were people in the parking lot at the time. No one did anything.
No one did anything? Are you shitting me? Oh my god, these people!
Oh, yeah. And
I hate them all!
he was holding her in such a way that maybe to a casual onlooker, it would appear that she was tanked and needing support, just like an out-of-control drunk.
Yeah, that she got like really intoxicated.
And he was just holding her up, trying to get her to the car. He put Samantha into the truck and quickly drove away. And then on March 7th, Samantha's card was used yet again. This time it was at a small bank in Arizona, and an hour later was used in New Mexico. When the footage was pulled from the ATMs, they saw the same masked man, but were able to make out a white Ford Focus in the background. And they thought that he may be traveling east on Interstate 10. At the time, the white Ford Focus was the most common rental sedan on the market.
So it was a rental vehicle, potentially?
Yes.
Or at least, okay.
A BOLO, or Be on the Lookout, was issued to the surrounding states. On March 12th, Texas Rangers got the BOLO, and Texas Ranger Steve Rayburn reviewed the information and was determined to stop this man. Texas Rangers are a different breed of law enforcement. There's state troopers, and then there's Texas Rangers. They have a little bit more of a no fucks given attitude.
What does that mean?
Like, their job is to uphold the law and protect like innocent people, and that is what they are going to do.
No matter what? Like, whatever the cost?
Yes, they're very dedicated. It's very hard to become a Texas Ranger. That's why they make TV shows about them.
Because they're, like, super dedicated or whatever?
Yes, and they're kind of, like, mysterious mystique about them.
Okay.
I would like to think that they have really big revolvers. Probably not.
Just, like,
but in my
comically
head,
large.
Not comically
Not
large.
comically large, but, like, big.
Like old-timey movie revolvers.
Imagine if they did that with comically large revolvers.
That would be amazing.
Just walking around with like, these massive ass guns.
Like the guns from Roger Rabbit. So, Texas Ranger Steve reviewed the maps And he knew the terrain. He knew the area. He knew the roads. He determined that the perp would travel east on Highway 59, and he told his men to be ready. A local FBI field officer named Deb Ganaway met with Rayburn, and they were together the very next day when a call came in that there was a white Ford Focus at a Holiday Inn right off the highway. The car was put under surveillance, and it paid off when a man came out of room 215 and started loading the car up. Rayburn gave his men instructions to find a reason to pull the car over. Like I said, they're very ethical.
Yeah, they're not just gonna, even if they have reasonable suspicion, they're gonna be like,
Yes.
they need something.
Yes.
Okay.
She's really going to town on that bone again. So Rayburn told them to find a reason to pull this guy over. Unfortunately, he seemed to be obeying all traffic laws. So,
I mean, yeah, that is the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
If you're a criminal,
Yeah.
you gotta seem like you're a good law-abiding stand-up citizen, so they don't pull you over.
Eventually, they came to a light or an intersection, something of that nature, where he had to come to a complete stop, and he accelerated too fast to where he was 2 miles over the speed limit. And that is the point where they pulled him over.
Well, at least they had a tangible reason.
Yes. They needed a reason that would stand up in court as to why they pulled him over.
Yeah, because technically you're not supposed to just pull people over without reason. Have you seen that video of the cop who got hit by an acorn and he started shooting because he thought it was a bullet?
No, but we're not going to watch it.
He starts screaming, "I've been shot, I've been shot."
No, I have not seen that. I don't know what kind of videos you guys are watching, but Jesus Christ. In the car, they found a white male who told the ranger that he was from Alaska and in town for his sister's wedding. He had flown into Vegas, where he rented a car and drove to Texas, and had been staying at the hotel with his brother, who had flown in from Maine. He claimed that he drove all day and night, only stopping once a day to sleep for an hour and a half. He was asked to step out of the car, and when they looked into the car, they could see white sneakers under the seat. There were also rolls of cash stashed in the door.
Because that's not suspicious at all.
Never. Along with maps of the area. Agent Ganaway called Agent Pierce and told him what was going on. Pierce was worried that if they didn't take the proper steps regarding search and seizure, it would bite them in the ass, which is a valid concern.
Yeah.
However, Ganaway let him know that in Texas, cause is waived if there was a suspicion that the vehicle was used in the commission of a crime. So they don't
technically need
a reason. So search they did. They tossed that car top to bottom and called Agent Payne to let him know that they had their man. In the front of the car, they found a child's picture, maps, white sneakers, energy drinks, a camera, multiple rolls of cash, sunglasses, and ATM receipts. In the back seat, they found more energy drinks, a Walmart receipt, laundry detergent, another pair of sunglasses, and a pink backpack. In the trunk, they found a green backpack, DVD porn.
Oh, classy.
Flight confirmation of a flight from Anchorage on March 6th to Seattle and then to Vegas. There was also a hoodie, a lot of alcohol, a mask, gloves, a ski mask, headlamp, binoculars, and a phone with no battery and no SIM card. They also found a gun. The man, identified as Israel Keys, was arrested, and when they searched his person, they found Samantha's ID and ATM card in his wallet. Her PIN number was written on the back of the ATM card. He claimed that he did not know why he was being arrested and refused to talk to authorities. While he was being processed in Texas, Anchorage officials started digging up whatever they could on Keyes. Nothing came up when they ran his name. He lived in a home which was owned by his girlfriend, Kimberly Anderson. When they went to the house, there was a white Chevy truck in the driveway. They questioned Anderson, and she told investigators that Keyes had been home all night on the night Samantha disappeared, and that he had left super early the next morning to fly out with his daughter.
His daughter?
His daughter.
He has a daughter? Why did I say it like that? God, that's so annoying, Whitney.
They were going to go on vacation, and he was going to fly out with his daughter first. Then she would follow, and they would meet in New Orleans.
Oh, they had a daughter together?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, not together. This is Israel's daughter. He was going to fly out first, and then she would follow, where they would meet in New Orleans and go on a cruise. They discovered that he owned a construction company and had lived in Alaska since 2007. He had also been enlisted in the Army for 2 years. Lead investigators wanted to get to Texas as soon as they could for his arraignment. They did not want him to be cut free for any reason. They wanted him remanded into their custody to return to Alaska. Agent Dahl was the one to initially question Keyes. He told her that he thought someone had left the card and cell phone in his car as payment on a debt. Because that's how I pay my debts.
Yeah, you just leave a credit card in somebody's fucking car.
And without a note, just
put it there.
Yep.
Not even being like, hey, this is from me, so like, I'm not in debt to you anymore. Okay, bye.
Keyes seemed confident and refused to confess to anything. Deb Ganaway pushed to interview Keyes' mother, Heidi. When pressed, Heidi admitted that it was possible that her son had kidnapped someone. When he visited them in February, he disappeared for 2 days, leaving a note that he was going out to hide his guns. He called them and asked the family to meet him at a Walmart parking lot, and when he didn't show, his family slept in the parking lot waiting for him.
It's kind of sad for their family.
He called his family again, saying that he was at a mall, and when they went to find him, he was disheveled, dirty, and the car was caked with mud. He had nothing but excuses when the family asked what had happened. Keyes was extradited to Alaska, and on March 30th, Keyes spoke to Alaskan investigators and told them that he would talk, but only if the death penalty was off the table. They were afraid he would walk if only charged with federal credit card charges, so they agreed, and Agent Bell would take the lead when they questioned him in the FBI field office with the local police and the BAU listening in. They had a plan.
The BAU again?
The Behavioral Analysis Unit.
Okay.
They had a plan in place to get him to talk, but unfortunately, Kevin Feldis, the local federal prosecutor, who had only ever prosecuted white-collar crimes, got wind of the situation. He decided he was going to take the lead in the interview with Keyes, and it would be done in the prosecutor's office instead of a proper interrogation room in a secured FBI office.
Why is this guy so stupid?
Ego. This is like the biggest case Alaska's seen. Agent Payne objected to this because security was quite lax at the prosecutor's office versus in a proper interrogation room, which was designed to intimidate the suspect and came with audio and video surveillance. He felt that being interviewed at a conference table with lots of people in attendance would only boost Keyes' confidence. There was also the small fact that Feldis had never been trained in interrogation procedure. The reason a prosecutor cannot secure a confession, but law enforcement can, is because both being interviewer and prosecutor would mean that Feldis could be called to testify, just like interrogators are.
Mm-hmm.
And if Keyes was convicted, any lawyer worth his salt would look to have the decision overturned due to prosecutorial misconduct.
Why is that considered misconduct, technically?
Yeah, because you're not supposed. That's not done. You don't do it that way
Yeah.
for this particular reason. Which means Keyes would walk and would never be able to be charged with this crime again.
What, like never ever again?
No, because that would be double jeopardy.
But they can't do that?
Nope.
Even if new evidence came out?
Nope.
Really? Man, that's fucking stupid.
Because he had already been tried for the crime.
So even if new evidence comes out, they can't try him again?
Correct.
Oh, what the fuck? That's dumb.
So the FBI was obviously pretty concerned about the situation. Feldes persisted and threw his weight as a federal prosecutor around, so Payne and Bell had no choice but to try to coach him in interrogation techniques. During the interview, Keyes told the team that he had driven to Home Depot to case the kiosk. He planned to rob it, and that he planned to rob it if he could, and that he had no knowledge of Samantha before that night. He told Feldes that he had built an ice fishing shack in his shed, and Feldes waffled a bit because they had no idea about the shed. Keyes told him that they may find some stuff in his shed. Feldes then showed Keyes pictures of a shed that they had searched, and Keyes told him that that was the wrong shed.
Wait, so they searched one shed, but there's... What do you mean it's the wrong shed? Was there another shed somewhere else that was the real shed?
Yes. Anchorage PD had missed a second shed on his property.
There's a whole ass other shed and they missed it. They just didn't even fucking notice?
Yes. That would be correct.
Oh my god, these places suck. These guys suck. Absolute ass.
Feldes was also not prepared for Keyes to be argumentative.
This guy sucks.
Keyes condescended to Feldes, asking if he were talking to him for no reason. When pressed for details about the abduction, Keyes was hesitant, saying that he would tell them some of the details, but not all of them, because he wanted to give those specific details to Detective Dahl.
That's weird.
It seems that Keyes may have been looking to relive his crime by telling the details to a woman who most definitely would be uncomfortable with the grisly information, regardless of how professional she was being.
Because that's a normal thing to do.
He did give the team some information. He told investigators that just before closing on February 1st, he got out of his truck in the Home Depot parking lot and approached the kiosk looking for an Americano. He was very specific. He really enjoyed his Americanos. And while Samantha was preparing...
Wait, Americano. Isn't that literally just espresso and water?
Yes.
Why would you... I don't understand why people drink those.
I would never drink hot Americano.
You never drink hot Americano? Have
No.
you had iced Americano?
Yes.
What's the difference? Temperature?
It's stronger than an iced coffee or a cold brew.
Oh, so it's like... I mean, I guess that makes sense.
So while Samantha was making his Americano, he was casing the place, noting that there was no customers around. There was no plexiglass or screen to separate customers from the staff, just the service window. He said he pulled a gun on her and told her that she was being robbed and to cooperate.
Does that place is that place still open? Do you know?
Probably.
You think they have a service window now?
There might be a screen or something. Maybe. Hopefully.
Like literally anything? You think they've learned, maybe?
One would hope. But remember, there's a lot of these kiosks. Samantha did give him all the money, and he restrained her with her hands behind her back, making her kneel facing away from the window. This is the moment when he decided he would take her. He dove into the open window and once inside, shoved napkins in her mouth to keep her quiet and told her they were going for a walk, which is why when they saw people in the parking lot, Samantha could not scream.
Oh, because she had fucking napkins stuffed in her mouth?
Yes.
That must be so uncomfortable.
He held her in such a way that it would appear to a casual bystander that he was supporting her like a drunk person. Samantha did try to make a break for it once, and she made it to the parking lot, but he tackled her and held a gun on her to keep her under control.
Were there people in the parking lot?
Yes.
He held the gun on her and nobody said shit?
If he's holding her like he's supporting a drunk person.
Yeah, but why would he have a gun out?
This is Alaska in the winter. He probably had like a big coat on or something. I would assume. We don't wear winter coats here. But I'm assuming in Alaska it's way more cool. It's way colder. But it's easier to conceal if you have layers.
I guess.
When he was putting her into the passenger side of his truck, there were other people getting in a vehicle nearby, but no one suspected anything. No one even gave them a second look.
That's crazy.
He helped her into the truck, seatbelting her with her hands still restrained behind her back, and casually drove away.
And she had her hands restrained and nobody said anything?
Nobody's noticed.
This is actually pissing me off. Like, oh my god.
He said that he had told Samantha that he was going to ransom her. While driving, they were stopped at a red light, and next to them was a police cruiser. And again, no one questioned the scene because she was restrained, had a mouthful of napkins, and thought he was going to shoot her. He drove Samantha to a nearby park. They went to a secluded area where he took the tools out of the backseat of his truck and moved them into the bed of the truck, placing a drop cloth over the back seat. He forced a restrained Samantha to lie on the back seat and considered his next moves. He thought about going to Walmart to get supplies, but decided against it because he's well aware of the fact that Walmart has some of the best security system around. We decided to return back to the kiosk to grab Samantha's phone and her keys. He returned to the scene of the abduction, where he went back inside and grabbed the items. This was news to the police because they hadn't watched the entirety of the night's security footage.
What the fuck? Really? These motherfuckers are so incompetent.
They stopped watching after he first left with Samantha.
I'm actually gonna fucking lose my mind. These guys are so fucking incompetent.
He then shot some texts from Samantha's phone to throw everyone off and took the battery from the phone so it couldn't be traced. He drove Samantha back to his house where his girlfriend Kimberly was still awake and she never suspected anything was amiss.
Did she know that this girl was in the house? I mean, I assume not, right?
They don't think she knew. He had already set the shed up with this kind of thing in mind. So the second shed.
He was just waiting to kidnap someone?
Yes. There were space heaters and tarps set up on the floor and a bucket to pee in.
A bucket? It's the best we could do.
After putting on heavy metal to cover any questionable noises, he brought Samantha into the shed around 1 a.m. and demanded her address. He then took his girlfriend's car and, parking a bit away, walked up to Samantha's house and the truck she shared with her boyfriend and used the keys to unlock the truck so he could steal whatever he could. He left when Dwayne heard him and came out of the house. He returned from doing this at around 3 a.m. He had to leave to catch his flight at 5 a.m. He left his house and returned back to the shed, demanding that Samantha give her the PIN number to her ATM card, which he did try to use, like we know, but there was less than $1 in her account.
Because she was broke.
He said that he had left her in the shed while he was away on vacation.
Did she have food?
He said he left her in the shed while he was away on vacation. He had to be directly asked if Samantha was alive during the time. He had to be directly asked if Samantha was alive during this time for him to admit that she was not.
Alive during, like,
While he was away on vacation.
so she didn't have food?
She didn't have food.
So wait, what was the point of setting up the whole thing? Or she just, did he kill her?
We're getting there.
What do you mean we're getting, what the fuck? Okay, whatever, fine.
Prosecutor Feldis tried to press him for cause of death, but he refused, saying he only wanted to speak with Dahl and give her that information.
That's so fucked up. Like,
and that he was done speaking to Feldis. Dahl would sit down with him, but he had demands. He wanted Kimberly and his daughter to be kept out of it, and no info was to be given to the press. They did agree because they needed this information.
Well, yeah.
But during the interview, anytime Feldis tried to take the lead, he seemed to take pleasure in fucking with him. While talking to Dahl, while telling Dahl that if she had any questions for him, all she had to do with that was ask. So very courteous of him.
Wow, how kind.
He admitted to Dahl that he had had the shed already set up because he had been trolling for victims for a while, and when he saw Samantha, he liked the look of her. He said that Samantha had remained composed for much of the time that he had with her. He repeatedly told her that he would release her once the ransom was paid. After he raped her multiple times, she begged him not to kill her. He told investigators, "It's hard work to strangle someone."
Oh my God.
He then left the shed and went into the house to shower and get his daughter up and get her ready for their trip. He went back to the shed and rolled Samantha's body in a tarp, storing it in a cupboard, and double-locked the shed, at which point he left for 2 weeks.
What the fuck?
He was not concerned that he would be caught because it was winter in Alaska. The frigid temps would slow decomposition. He also knew from listening to police scanners that Anchorage PD was definitely not looking for him. Keyes was confident in his situation. Keyes returned to Alaska on February 18th. He waited until his daughter went to school and started dismantling the shed, destroying or burning any evidence. When his daughter went to bed, he covered the shed with plastic.
Where's the girlfriend in all this? What's she doing? She's just not noticing any of this?
She's a nurse.
Oh, so she was like working crazy shifts?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense, I suppose.
So when his daughter went to bed, he covered the now barren shed with plastic and thawed Samantha out. He did some unspeakable shit while his daughter was in the house, only yards away.
What did he do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did he assault her dead body?
Yes. After he had done this, he went to Target to buy a Polaroid camera, but was pissed off when he found out that they didn't have the film at that location.
That is kind of a valid thing to be pissed about, though.
maybe they were sold out because you're going to sell a lot more film than you are cameras.
Oh, yeah, I guess it makes sense.
So in the middle of the night, he left his daughter home alone and drove to another Target to get film, a sled, typewriter, ribbon, a sewing kit, some makeup, and some fishing line. He pulled an old paper out of the trash to use as proof of life. Since Samantha was quite obviously dead at this point, he used the makeup along with some of Kimberly's makeup to try to make her look more fresh.
And she probably used that makeup after that.
She probably did. I hope he didn't use her sponges. Actually, she probably didn't have sponges because this is 2012.
Oh, God. That's so gross.
It's vile.
Oh, my God. If I was her, I'd actually scrub my skin off.
He used the sewing kit with an upholstery needle, which I have one. You've probably seen it. It's the thick sewing needle that's U-shaped.
I think I know what you are referring to.
I had used that needle to fix Pippi's giant horse when it got a rip in it.
R.I.P. that giant horse. Not forgotten. I mean, kind of forgotten. Not gonna lie.
So he used the sewing kit with this big upholstery needle to make her look more alive. He basically sewed her face into a more lively expression.
Ugh.
He took the picture and typed up the ransom note while wearing gloves. He knew that the weather would start getting warmer soon and needed to do something with the body. He had a fishing shack on Matanuska Lake, so he took Samantha's body down there in multiple trips.
Multiple trips?
Multiple trips.
What, did he dismember her?
Yes. Making sure to bring fishing equipment along so he would look legit to the other people who were on the lake.
Yeah, because it would be weird if somebody just kept going to a fishing area and then... Yeah, that's sketch.
He weighted down her body parts and dropped them into the lake. And once all the parts were discarded...
Wait, how do they do that? When people wait? Do they, tie them to shit?
Yeah. So he had to go out to the lake and put a hole in the ice. Because this is not like reservoir ice. This is Alaskan frozen ice. So he had to use a chainsaw to do this. And there were other people that were on the lake.
And nobody
questioned that? Nobody questioned the chainsaw. He dropped Samantha's body piece by piece into the lake. And once all the parts were discarded, he actually did sit down to fish from that very same hole.
He actually fucking fished? What if he just accidentally fished up a piece of her body? Wouldn't that be kind of crazy?
Had gone so far as to do some crazy triangulation math and was able to approximate how deep Matanuska Lake was at that point.
Bro was doing fucking math to... Wait, why was he calculating how deep the lake was?
I guess he wanted to know, if it was deep enough to properly dispose of the body.
I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Payne and Bell called the elite FBI dive team in. Usually it does take quite a bit of lead time to get the dive team prepared for a dangerous dive such as this. But when they heard the circumstances, they jumped into action. So usually they have to survey the scene, what kind of hazards there are.
But they were just
no, biggest hazard being frigid water temperatures and possibly being trapped under the ice. They were in Anchorage within a few days, and after setting up a tent on the ice to keep prying eyes away, the 3-man dive team went in and retrieved Samantha. This dive team was hell-bent on retrieving her. At one point, one of the divers' gloves was ripped, and he continued until they were able to retrieve all of Samantha. because they knew they wanted to give her father closure.
Yeah. I mean, does the glove being ripped pose like a hazard?
Yes, being
Like your hands fucking freezing in ice cold waters?
yeah. I mean,
Because the gloves are probably insulated, right?
let me Google that.
What do we Googling? Specifically.
How cold is Matanuska Lake in February? According to AlaskaVisit.com, the highest recorded temperature in February has been 52 degrees Fahrenheit,
The highest.
with the lowest recorded temperature being negative 33.
So fucking cold.
So, yeah. Alaska ain't no joke.
Yeah.
So, at this point, now that we've found Samantha, we are going to pause and stay tuned for part 2.
Yep, this is a 2-parter. Yeah.
This son of a bitch, his story is, it's bad. It actually kind of gets worse.
How does it get worse?
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, there's not any more necrophilia in this story.
I was going to say worse than necrophilia.
But it's bad.
Okay.
So we hope you join us for part 2 of this terrible story. Please follow us on Instagram and Facebook. You can also reach us at sinisterstudiespod@gmail.com.
You gotta rate us on everything. Follow us on everything. You probably have Facebook if you're listening to this. I assume most of the people listening are probably more about your age, not mine.
Well, somebody's got to change that.
We just got to do a better job at targeting the Gen Z demographic. I don't fucking know. I'm not a marketing.
Yes, you're a
person.
young Gen Z.
Yeah, so rate us on whatever. Follow us on whatever. Email us maybe. Adios.